Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back once again to Fat Cat Collections. Today, folks, I got another watch show and tell / review for you guys, and that is another Duxot watch. So Duxot is a company that's part of the Dartmouth branding. They make some exceptional watches, and I would say Dartmouth, their particular lineup is mainly Homage watches. Now, they do have some very interesting designs, like with like a coin, actually is the face of the watch. They do make a couple sterling silver watches. Some unique pieces that I think are particular just to their brand. They're kind of like their original creations. But a lot of the ones that I've been being sent by them are generally sort of Homage watches, right? Whether it be a Submariner or an Omega. The one I'm going to share with you guys today, I'm not sure which watch this might be mimicking. It might be one of the Seikos out there. It might be an Omega. I don't think it's any of the Rolexes, but this is called the Tiburon. So I'm actually wearing it right now. I just sized this. Let's check this bad boy out. So very cool looking watch. Again, a lot of these watches that aren't, aren't like the Nubeo or the RGMT line under Dartmouth. It's going to be more of your conservative style watches, right? Very user friendly, so to speak. Very easy to wear this really with anything that you might be wearing. It goes with diving. If you are diving, it goes with a suit, jeans, polo, whatever the case may be. This watch is very universal. So let's talk about what you get. So 316 stainless steel. The construction of the Duxot watches are awesome. I have had zero complaints with the quality. As far as the movement, and this is the big one, we're going to start right off with this because I do consider the movement one of the check boxes for a lot of folks who collect watches. For me, if it's an automatic quartz, I don't really, I don't really let it affect my decision to own it or wear it. But I do gravitate more towards the automatic. So a lot of the watches that Duxot makes are automatics. They have a few quartz, but mainly automatic. In this case, I do know the movement in this today. The last time I sent in an order with Duxot and Dartmouth, I actually requested the movements. So it's a lot easier for my contact if when I send in my order or my requests, that I just request the movements as well. So, one thing I've noticed with Duxot, a lot of their watches are either going to use Miyota movements or they're going to use the Seiko NH35. So this one is powered by a Miyota. So again, checkbox for a lot of folks. A lot of the other videos I've reviewed for the Dartmouth brand, sometimes we don't have that information. It is really important. I'm really glad I have it now for this video. Remember, if you do stumble upon one of my other videos, another Duxot, another Dartmouth brand, whatever the watch may be, definitely check the description, because a lot of times I will come back and update the description with a little bit of a kind of a notice saying, hey, this is the movement that I've been told is in this watch. So in this case, this one has the Miyota 8215, okay? So for you folks who are, very concerned with that, there you go. So if you're familiar with this movement, great. If not, look it up. You can find it on Caliber Corner, read more about it. For me, personally, I never get too involved in the movements. As long as you have a name-branded movement, whether that's Claro, whether that's Seagull, whether it's Seiko, like the NH series, Ronda, Citizen, whatever the case may be. Remember, these are, in my opinion, these are not, when you're at watches at this level, these are not like Jacob & Company tourbillons. You know what I mean? These are not watches where, and there's thousands of other brands out there doing really interesting things. I listened to a Joe Rogan podcast the other day where he was discussing watches with, I don't know who the guy was. I'll have to listen to the whole thing. I just caught like a piece of it in the morning. He was just stating like watches, because Joe Rogan was kind of like, why would you spend $9,000 for a watch? And that's kind of my stance too. He's like, this Casio G-Shock 300, and that's kind of how a lot of people view watches. Like, what are you spending the money on? And so this guy basically made the analogy that it's kind of like a car company making a car with like 4 transmissions, all being kind of broken down into one drivetrain, right? Or like one crankshaft feeding 4 wheels, right? You know how it works now. We have one motor for the most part. 99% of the cars out there, we have one motor, one transmission, and then a drivetrain which distributes the power to either 2 wheels or 4 wheels. He said it'd be like somebody making a car with 4 transmissions, all feeding down to maybe 2 wheels, something like that. And the whole point was they do it because they can. So when they have these movements where companies do something really kind of over the top, very complicated, no pun intended, that's kind of the idea. We're doing it because we can. And so is it needed? No. So unless you really appreciate the manufacturing and you really appreciate, the uniqueness in a design, ultimately at the end of the day, they all tell time. And so when it comes down, and that is a great way of articulating, the difference in watches that cost $1 million. Again, there are precious metals and stuff like that. I get that, but that's a Jacob. When we want to compare it to a Rolex, like I always do, I want you guys to be very clear. I mentioned this in a lot of videos. I don't hate Rolex by any means. I just I will never rationalize what they cost for what you're getting, right? And that can be said with other brands too. Omega is one of them, right? Like Grand Seiko. There are things that make those watches special, but for what you pay for them, not special enough for me to rationalize the cost. And the old argument is you're going to pick up a watch like this, and you're going to pick up a Grand Seiko, or you're going to pick up a Rolex, and you're going to say, oh man, this Duxot is a piece of trash. And that's not the case. You're going to pick up this Duxot and say, wow, this is an amazing quality watch. This feels robust. It's solid. It's great materials. That's going to be the main difference. The higher end stuff they do things that because they can, and they do things sometimes to be more accurate. But remember, if we can regulate a NH35 $65 Pro Diver and get it to plus one, -1 seconds per day, which is COSC certified chronograph specifications, then what makes the Rolex so special, right, for $20,000? So again, always buy what you like, buy what makes you happy. I appreciate all brands, don't get me wrong, I like them all, but I just would never spend that much money on a watch. It's just, you're not getting anything. When it comes down to quality, that's not an argument. No matter anybody who says otherwise, that's not an argument. Under macro lens, that's an argument, but not like argument where it's like this in-your-face, bold difference. Not the case. Yeah, if you pop the back open on something like this, which I haven't, and you do that on like a higher end watch, sure, there's going to be a difference. But remember, it's not what these watch snobs will lead you to believe. So this is an exceptional quality watch. If you're familiar with Pagani, Steel Dive, Invicta Pro Divers, and I'd say Invicta Pro Divers are kind of on the low tier when it comes to Homage watches, to be honest with you. I think Invicta's a brand you go with mainly for the design, the style. Again, you're getting quality, but I would prefer a different brand than Invicta for Homage style watches, whether it be a Homage to a Seiko or Homage to the Submariner. I think the other brands just do it a little bit better. Again, Invicta is hard to beat value, especially when you're paying $65, $70 for an automatic Pro Diver. Incredible. But there are some things that other brands do I like a little bit more. Like I like ceramic inserts. And I believe this one here has a ceramic insert, but don't quote me on that. Again, another feature that Dartmouth needs to add to their site. But let's talk about what you actually get with this. So 316 stainless steel, you get that Miyota movement, you get a 42mm case diameter. You can see it's not quite the same as like your Submariner style case, a little more chiseled. Again, for you folks who are watching me for a while, if there's a lot of folks out there who know a lot more than I do about what's out there by different brands. We all have different skill sets. I'm not super familiar with all the Omegas or Rolex watches or even Seiko. So if this does remind you of something, let me know in the description. Let me know what this watch is supposed to replicate, if anything, right? You do get 13mm case thickness, so your standard case thickness. Unidirectional rotating bezel, nice and smooth, like 99% of the watches out there. Pip lines up, no back plate that I can tell. Lume on this, we have no idea what the lume is on this. They don't list it. Again, unfortunate. Hopefully in time they make these changes because these are important specs. They may not be to me, but they are to a lot of you guys, and I prefer you guys know that. Water resistance is 20 ATMs. You do have a sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating. Again, another checkbox for a lot of folks. For me, not even something I even consider. I've never scratched even a cheap $10 glass watch, glass crystal. So again, it's more of a checkbox. It's not really, I always say, what's the feature, the action, and the benefit? Yeah, this is the feature. The action, it's more scratch resistant. What's the benefit? Unless you're really abusive to your watches, I don't think you're going to get any, but if it's a concern, it has it. And then, of course, you have a solid stainless steel bracelet, milled clasp. A lot of folks like that as opposed to stamped clasp. I think it looks a little bit nicer. 4 micro adjustments on the clasp, solid end links, solid center links, and no lock on the clasp. You just have a dual push button deploying clasp. So, I mean, that's what I prefer. Screw a case back. I like that more than friction clasp. They just seem to, I don't know. None of these watches fall off, but I feel like that's not really going to wear out. Not that any of the other ones have, just, something to think about. And that's really about it. So As far as price point on these, right now they're listed on their website for $670. As you guys always know, I will link you to their website where you can pick this up, and I'll also link you to, sometimes these pop up on incredible deals on Ashford. So if there's any other place I find it that's going to give you guys the best price, I'm going to link you in the description. It'll be right at the top. So don't snooze on this. So great looking watch. This is done kind of like the royal. I'd say it's like more of like a royal navy blue. It's like a darker, I guess it's not really royal blue. It's more of like a navy blue. The faces, I would say, might just be, it's a little different, I'd say, than the actual bezel. The bezel appears to be a little more like royal blue, but they're still not royal blue. They're like royal blue to me is like a very bright, shocking blue. This is a little more subdued, a little more conservative. But again, by the video, you might think that that face is black. It's not. It's just a slightly deeper blue. So great looking watch, awesome. And of course, I didn't mention it. This is called the Tiburon, not to be confused with the Hyundai. So yeah, pretty awesome. I mean, love the watch. I actually have this one as well for you guys to check out in the what I call the Panda, or a lot of folks call the Panda version, just black and white. I requested a second on these just because it's such a good looking watch, and I find myself wearing it quite a bit. I always like to have a blue face watch in the collection for ones that I kind of gravitate to a little bit more. But again, they all get worn, they all get used, and it's just a fantastic piece. So that's about it. Let me go ahead and throw it on the wrist to show you guys what it looks like. I removed 5 links out of this, and I have a 7-inch wrist. I weigh about 180, depending on time of day, 182 pounds, and I'm about 5'8". So this is what it looks like on a guy my size, my height, and my weight. Like I said, just a real clean, simple, very conservative watch. All right, let's throw it on here. Check it out. Not bad at all. Nice looking piece. And you can see, 42 millimeter, 7-inch wrist. I mean, a lot of guys, I think the average wrist size is probably 6 to 7 inches. Some folks have, a lot smaller wrists. If you do, you can still take out, appears to be 3 more, no, is that right? Say 2 more links, and then you can max out the micro adjustment. So I removed 5 links out of it. So definitely can get you down to a smaller size. I like the fact that they give you a lot of bracelet. Other companies, like when you look at Invicta, I've been pushing a lot of times lately the mid-size Invictas for the folks who don't like the big giant watches but still like the cool designs. You can get a female version, which is really just unisex, but you got to be careful with your wrist size. Some of the ones I've had, like the Sub-Aqua Specialty, no links were removed. Maybe it was 1. Might have been 1, but you don't have a lot of room, right? So if you have a big wrist over 7, got to be kind of pushing it. With this, you don't really have to worry. Great looking piece. As far as the box is concerned, Duxot's got really nice looking presentation. Just what I call like a Ferrari-like red. Really bright. Of course, it's just red, you know what I mean? But it just kind of reminds me of like an exotic sports car. Super high gloss. Got that Duxot logo right on the top there. Just black velvet interior. Pretty straightforward. Piece of foam. Let's get that out of the way. Duxot in like almost like a chrome leaf, so to speak. Warranty card, that kind of stuff. So hang tag, pretty straightforward. It did have an outer cardboard sleeve. I just threw that in the trash. But nice looking watch. I've definitely become a real fan of Duxot watches. And if you compare this to something like a Submariner style, here's an Ocean Eve I have. I just want to show you the difference in design. The Duxot is just a lot more chiseled. It's just kind of got more of like a chiseled, kind of a more narrow kind of design towards the lugs, slightly elongated. So it's a nice looking piece, and definitely one that if you have a lot in your collection that are kind of your classic pro divers. After a while, as we start collecting watches, especially for me, I think I'm over 200. You start to, how many Submariner Homage watches can we possibly pump into the market? Everybody and their brother makes them. Whether it be Sterling, Invicta. I don't think Aragon's done one though, which is kind of cool. They do their own stuff, which is pretty awesome. But companies want to make money, so it may just be a matter of time before they pump out their own Submariner Homage. But there's so many different brands out there, and I can tell you, across the board, most of these watches are all very comparable quality. You're going to get slight differences with those check boxes I talked about, and you might get some differences with size and weight, movements, but they're all nice. They're all pretty similar, and definitely a lot of fun to wear. So that's it, folks. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, drop me a comment, drop me an email. Do subscribe to the channel, of course. And have a great day. Take care.